Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rakhi Mandal, an assistant professor at Ishan Institute of Management and Technology. As you all know, the previous session by Dr. Ashutosh Yadav was very well received and highly appreciated by all participants. His ability to simplify complex ideas and connect them with real world application made the session truly enriching. He is an assistant professor at Hansraj College, University of Delhi, and also served as a director of the Mahatma Hansraj Malya Mission Teacher Training Center with expertise in financial marketing, behavioral finance, business analytics, and AI. He has contributed through research, publications, and academic training. Today, we are delighted to welcome him once again to share his insight on the topic assessment and feedback with AI, which is highly relevant in the present era and AI driven education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ashutosh Yadav.
Thank you, Dr. Aki, for an illustrious introduction and for your kind word of praise for my last session. Dr. Aki, I cannot switch on my video. Can you please allow me to switch on
Sure,
my
sure.
video from the other device?
Uh,
I've
sure,
joined
sure.
by the name Ashutosh.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I'll just switch on my video from there. Yeah, now I
Okay,
think I
okay,
can.
done, sir.
Yeah, I think now I'm visible.
Yes, sir, you
Yeah,
are visible.
thank you. Okay, thank you so much,
Okay,
Dr.
sir, go
Aki. I
ahead.
hope my slides are also visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, a very good afternoon to everyone, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here again to this immersive session on assessment and feedback with AI. So, let me begin with the foundational question: what is the purpose of assessment? Is it to measure retention, or is it for rank performance, or is it to reveal growth, inspire curiosity, and support lifelong learning? Yeah. So traditional, yeah, somebody said evaluation. Yes, okay, okay. Okay. Comparing, okay, okay. So let's talk about traditional assessment often falls short. Why? Because they're summative, they are judgmental, and they're retrospective. But assessment at its best is forward-looking. It aligns with the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy, moving, yes, rightly said by Dr. Bhavna, lifelong learning. So it is forward-looking, yeah, moving from mere remembering to analyzing to evaluate to ultimately creating. And this is where AI, artificial intelligence, steps in, not to replace teachers, but to amplify our capacity to nurture learning. And let me connect this with the NEP 2020. The policy repeatedly emphasizes holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary education. And it advocates for competency based learning and formative adaptive assessment. In other words, we can say it urges us as academicians to reimagine evaluation as an integral part of the learning process, not as an end point. And AI kind of enables this vision. Yeah. It helps us identify gaps in understanding as they happen. It supports personalization, inclusivity, and real time feedback. And it encourages us to move from uh, one size fits all test to, let's say, differentiated dynamic assessment that grows with the learner. But we must also reflect on what is this transformation. What does this transformation mean for us as educators? What does it mean to be a teacher in an AI augmented world? And this shift invites us to embrace transformative learning theory, which was given by Meserov in 1997. Yeah, which suggests that true learning occurs when learners and when teachers challenge their assumption, engage in critical reflection, and revise their worldviews. Now, integrating AI into our classroom is not just a technical skill that is required, it is a pedagogical transformation at the same time. And since this is the day sixth of this FDP, and I'm pretty sure that all of you must have imbibed the idea that it is not about upgrading our skill set, it is also about pedagogical transformation. It requires us to question our beliefs about knowledge, about authority, and about students' potential. We are no longer just the gatekeepers of knowledge. We are also the facilitators of inquiry, curators of learning experiences, and designers of feedback ecosystems. So AI becomes more of our partners, not our competitor. And let me pose a few reflective questions for you. Yeah, moving on. Sorry, I cannot move my slides. Just a minute. Yeah. So let me pose you with a few reflective questions. When was the last time you received feedback that changed the way you thought? How do your assessments reflect not just what your students know, but how they learn? And are you ready to design assessments that are iterative, that are inclusive, and that are insight driven? Okay. So let us start this session with an open mind and a critical lens that AI is not just a magical wand, but it also offers immense potential when used ethically, reflective, and creatively. And in this session, we'll navigate the real tools, real challenges, and the focus would be more on the pedagogical shift. And we'll explore how assessment can become more than evaluation, how it can become a means to humanize, personalize, and democratize the learning process. And let's begin with an important conversation, not as technologists, but as educators. Before we move forward, let's move on to the historical context and the evolution. Okay, let's take a moment to journey back and reflect on how our assessment practices came to be as the way they are today and why they needed to evolve. Okay, so if we talk about the origin of modern assessment practices, that is deeply rooted in colonial administrative systems, and especially specifically in countries like India. The examination system was introduced by the British colonial administration, which was intended less to foster learning and more to select bureaucrats who would serve the empire. And it promoted rote learning, emphasized memory over meaning, and prioritized standardized testing to categorize individuals. And these colonial legacies continued to influence how we assess students, even in the last past decade, if we talk about. And as educational theorists, Paul Black and Dylan Williams, they pointed out in way back in 1998 that they emphasized their groundbreaking work inside the black box. The formative assessment process has far greater impact on student achievement than any other intervention. Yet most systems remain focused on summative, high stakes evaluation that occur too late to inform instructions. And also, moreover, such assessment practices fail to consider the socio-economic realities of learners. And even Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, as some of you would know, it reminds us that learning thrives when support meets the learner just beyond their current capabilities. But on the contrary, rigid exams with single right answers, they do not leave space for such scaffolding. And they penalize difference instead of nurturing growth. And let's also consider the digital divide, which is more than a gap in access to technology. It's a gap in participation also, yeah, in literacy, in opportunity, and in both urban and rural contexts, disparities in internet connectivity, device availability, digital fluency, all this make equitable assessment increasingly difficult. And this digital divide is often amplified in AI-based systems if you're not, intentional about the design and implementation. Add to that, there are constraints of current evaluation systems. Teachers' workload limits the quality and frequency of feedback. Students rarely receive meaningful commentary. They only get the grades. Timeliness is compromised by the time feedback is received. The learning moment has passed. An assessment measures surface level understanding, not deep or transferable skills. Then we also have standardized and formative assessments. So standardized assessment are like board exams or national tests that we have. These offer scale and uniformity, but then they sacrifice the context. And they often neglect creative thinking, collaboration, and critical analysis. Formative assessments, on the other hand, these are iterative, these are reflective and contextual. they kind of prioritize the learning as a process and not an end result, and they allow for feedback, for revision, and for dialogue. So, formative assessment aligns more closely with modern pedagogical theories, including constructivism, which is where learners build knowledge through active engagement, uh, socio-cultural learning theory, which highlights the role of dialogue and culture in shaping understanding. Then also, culturally responsive pedagogy, which calls for assessment that recognize and validate diverse learner experience. And this is where AI-based systems, when ethically and equitably designed, can bridge the gap between formative ideals and practical implementation. Let me share an illustrative scenario. Now, imagine there's a multilingual classroom, okay, where students are required to reflect on a historical event. Now, traditional exams would, likely penalize spelling errors, and they would reward conformity and discourage linguistic diversity. But an AI-enabled formative assessment tool can, translate student responses into multiple languages, provide grammar support with dismissing meaning, recognize analytical depth over superficial correctness, offer differentiated feedback based on learning profiles. And this is the promise of inclusive formative assessment. But to move towards it, we must first acknowledge, our inherited systems and questions their relevance in today's context. Okay. Again, we need to reflect upon how has our experience with standardized assessment shaped our teaching styles and teaching practices. And can you recall a moment when an assessment failed to capture your students' real understanding? And this is what we often feel in our classroom teaching. And how might our evaluation practice shift it from formative feedback, where more accessible, which is more accessible and scalable? Okay, so as we adopt AI tools, let's not simply uh, say digitize the old. Let's redesign the new with equity, with context, and with curiosity at the center of our assessment philosophy. Moving on, let's see how what is AI and how it is being used in assessment. Yeah. Now that we've situated ourselves in the historical and philosophical landscape of assessment, it's time to turn to the mechanics of how AI actually functions in educational assessment. And let's unpack the key technologies such as supervised and unsupervised learning, NLP, which is natural language processing, machine learning, and their integration with platforms such as Moodle and Canva. Yeah. So if you talk about supervised versus unsupervised learning in education, so at the heart of the AI system lies the machine learning. It is a subfield of AI where algorithm learns from the data. And in educational application, this learning typically happens through either supervised or unsupervised models, learning models. And supervised learning models are trained on a labeled data set. For example, past exam papers marked by human teachers can be used to train the AI to evaluate essay or MCQs in similar fashion. And this is commonly used in automated grading system. Now, on the other hand, we have unsupervised learning where there are no labeled outputs. So the algorithm identifies the patterns or clusters, for example, grouping students based on learning behavior, attention spans, or feedback styles. And this is often used in learning analytics and personalized content delivery. So these models allow systems to predict, we can say, student performance. It also suggests what are the next learning steps, or detect when a student may be struggling, all in real time. Natural learning processing in grading and feedback enables computers to understand, to interpret, and generate human language. And this is particularly important for grading essays, short answers, or open-ended responses. And NLP tools can do in assessment can range from content analysis, evaluate coherence, logic, vocabulary, richness, and syntactic structures. It can then also detect sentiments, understand the student's emotional tone in a reflective writing. It can also then help us with plagiarism detection, identifying similarity across multiple student submission, feedback generation, provide personalized and student level uh, feedback. So modern grading tools are like Grammarly is there, Turnitin's revision assistant is there, then Socratic by Google. All these use natural learning processing extensively, and some institutions are also there which have embedded custom NLP to flag bias or promote gender inclusive, writing. Another important point is integration with the learning management systems. So AI tools become most powerful when they are embedded into existing LMS platforms. Uh, just say, for example, Moodle, which is an open source LMS widely used in universities and schools. So it allows integration of AI grading tools, chatbot tutors are there, predictive analytic dashboards are there. Then Canvas, which offers plugins that support AI-enabled video quizzes, adaptive testing modules, and text-based feedback. Then we also have Google Classroom and MS Teams that I'm sure all of us must be using since the COVID times. So these platforms allow limited AI-based rubric generation and real-time tracking of submission patterns. So by integrating AI with LMS platforms, educators gain access to predictive analytics. For example, we can know which students are likely to fail, adaptive pathways, kind of content unlocks based on mastery level. And then there are interactive dashboards, which also informs the learner of his or her progress, uh, that guides intervention. A few real-time example could be Khan Academy, which is mastery learning at scale. So Khan Academy uses AI to offer personalized learning. Their platform adapts in real time based on students' response. So it kind of identify weak areas which trigger remedial videos, while strong areas often offer advanced content. And they have this mastery dashboard which tracks students' progress, not just in grades but in skills also. Yeah, so they have AI driven assessment is continuous, which is not periodic. Feedback is also immediate and actionable. And teachers are at the same time, simultaneously, they are also provided with the insight about the student's activity, not just scores. Okay. Then another example is Chat GPT's Edu, so which is a conversational AI for higher order thinking. So OpenAI's Chat GPT, when fine-tuned for educational context, it enables reflective learning. Students use it to clarify concepts, generate essay outlines, review pure writing, and teachers can also prompt it to create rubrics, simulate Viva style Q&A, offer preliminary feedback on draft submissions, uh, and the dialogue nature aligns with the Socratic pedagogy, promoting critical thinking and iterative refining. Another wonderful example is CBSE's AI curriculum. Uh, so the Central Board of Secondary Education in India has launched a dedicated AI curriculum for classes 11th and 12th, developed in partnership with Intel. Just give me a moment, please. Just give me a moment. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. CBSE's AI curriculum. So it's kind of they've launched a dedicated AI curriculum for class 11th and 12th, which has been developed in partnership with Intel. And the curriculum includes units on ethical AI project cycles and data biases. And this assessment is competency based and includes portfolio reviews. Every student has a portfolio, project presentations, and peer feedback is there. Teachers are also being trained to use AI tools for formative assessment across subjects, and this represents an early but an important policy shift in aligning national and educational framework with AI assisted goals. There are challenges also with AI, and there are certain ethical questions that also arise. Algorithmic bias, who trains the AI and what data is there. Yeah. Then further transparency issues are there. Can students, contest AI generated grades or not? Then there's another issue of data privacy. How secure are student submission? Okay. So we need to also, uh, kind of reflect upon how we can make, there's a question. Yeah, we'll summarize it towards the end. Okay. So moving on, personalized feedback through AI. So this is where cognitive science kind of meets diverse learners. So AI holds the promise to revolutionize feedback in classroom, not just in the speed or efficiency, but also in deep personalization. So let's explore how feedback varies across different learning contexts, how cognitive sciences support timely feedback mechanism, and how LLMs, large language models, can help shape emotionally intelligent human-like responses which are tailored to each learner. So we can have feedback for diverse learners, rural versus urban, disabled, and multilingual students. So if you talk about rural versus urban learners, so urban students often have more access to high-speed internet devices, tech-literate teachers are there. Rural learners, by contrast, may experience delayed connectivity, device sharing among siblings. So AI can bridge this gap. Offline compatible tools can provide auto feedback once devices reconnect, and we can have adaptive assessment, which allows rural learners to proceed at their pace while urban learners receive accelerated feedback. Example could be AI tutors are like MindSpark, which have been used in low income schools with success, offering Hindi English feedback aligned to students' grade level. For students with disabilities, there are AI-powered platforms which offer real breakthroughs in inclusive assessment. There are speech-to-text for students with motor impairments. Then there are text-to-speech and visual-to-verbal for visually impaired students. Then there are sentiment adaptive chatbots, which reduces anxiety in neurodiverse learners. UDL principles are at play here, ensuring multiple means of engagement and expression. For multilingual learners, we have, feedback in English may not resonate with learners who think and process in a different language. So AI, specifically LLMs like ChatGPT, they can translate prompts and feedback instantly. They can offer explanation in the learner's native language. They can offer complex level based on learner's fluency. So if you talk about cognitive science, the neuroscience behind the feedback timing. So cognitive science emphasizes that feedback is most effective when it is immediate and when it is task specific. So So, according to Haiti and Temperley's study from 2007, feedback that directs attention to the task and not the self has the greatest impact. And spaced repetition used in tools like Anki, they show that feedback offered at just the right interval helps consolidate learning in the long-term memory also. And then we also talk about retrieval practice or testing as learners they relies on immediate feedback to correct my misconceptions. So this aligns beautifully with AI also. AI never tires offering immediate comments, and it remembers past mistakes also and can scaffold progressively harder problems. So as the famous quote by Dylan William, what learners do with the feedback matters more than the feedback itself. Okay. So another important aspect is LLMs and emotionally intelligent feedback. Now, traditional assessment has always struggled with empathy. Yeah? Large language models can now reword feedback with emotional sensitivity. It can also vary tone depending on student confidence level, and it can also ask follow up questions like, "What did you find most confusing here?" Now, consider a generic feedback. Incorrect. Try again. Now, AI empathic feedback would be you are on the right track with your concept, but there's a small error in calculation. Want to review step two together? Now, such kind of personalization of personalized feedback, these build self-efficacy and growth mindset, and especially for underconfident learners. Another area is samples. We can consider some sample scenarios. Scenario A would be, say, for example, urban student with high speed internet. Now, who's weak in math word problems. So AI tools detect that despite high accuracy in direct question, the student struggles with multi-step verbal problems. So feedback could be somewhat like you have mastered equation. Now let's break down this word problem into parts. Can you identify what's being asked first? Now, and this can be accompanied by a short video explanation and a similar practice question. Consider a scenario B where rural girl student with sporadic access excels in language arts. Now the app logs session during available access and syncs later. So this would offer encouragement. Maybe the question can be framed like you're doing great despite limited access. Your metaphors are very powerful. Here's how to build coherence across paragraphs. Now this is something which is beyond the comprehension of an individual teacher who's catering to multiple students' need. But then we have these AI tools which can which we can cater to the differential needs of different learners. Again, there could be another scenario wherein there are multilingual learners from Northeast India who have mid-level fluency. So feedback can simultaneously appear both in English as well as in Assamese, say for example. And suggestion includes idiom choices and sentences, flow tips in culturally relevant contexts. So reflection point for us as academicians: when do our students receive feedback? Days later? And what changes if it comes instantly? Have you noticed feedback working differently for a confident student versus an anxious one? And can you imagine feedback in your student's mother tongue or one they emotionally relate to? So these are some questions that we need to be reflecting upon. Moving on to the ethical bias and legal considerations in AI powered assessment. Now, AI is not a neutral force. There's a lot of debate, a lot of research going on as to cover what are the biases, behavioral biases in the AI also, because ultimately these are designed by human intervention only. So AI is also not a neutral force. And as educators, our enthusiasm, it must be paired with vigilance, especially when ethical and legal issues surround student data, algorithmic fairness, and system transparency. So what is algorithmic bias in educational tool? Let's see what, first, kind of navigate through the global view. Now, algorithms are only as objective as the data which is used to train them. So when historical biases concerning race, concerning gender, language, or geography are baked into the data, so they are also amplified into the AI system. So it all depends. Like in the last session, we were talking about the basic underlying premise, garbage in, garbage out. So is the case with the biases also. If the data that is being input into the AI mechanisms is bias, it is demonstrating bias in terms of geography, in terms of language, in terms of gender or race, that also gets embedded into the AI output. For example, there was this 2019 study by MIT, which showed that facial recognition tools had an error rate of 35% for Black women compared to 1% for white men. And if similar technology is embedded in automated proctoring, it may wrongly flag students from marginalized groups. And an Indian example would be that the automated assessment platforms have occasionally penalized non-standard English, affecting students from vernacular medium schools, reinforcing linguistic privilege. Okay. So feedback loops are also, they also perpetuate bias. If a student from a low resource background performs poorly initially, the system may only offer simpler questions, denying them chance to improve. So that reproduces inequality. Then there are also gendered feedback and representations. AI generated feedback has shown gender tendencies, and for example, girls are more likely to receive feedback focused on effort, good try. Boys are often offered more constructive task related comments. You miss the second clause. And this mirrors human biases in classrooms also. Yeah. Classroom feedback. And this can shape identity and confidence from an early stage. So educators must audit AI feedback logs for such tendencies and advocate for gender balanced training data sets. Another important point is AI hallucinations when the machine makes things up. So LLMs can generate plausible but factually incorrect feedback also, or citations also, which is known as a process which is known as hallucination. Case in point is Chat GPT suggesting that a student's essay contradicts a theory that never existed. So this is especially dangerous when used for grading or essay evaluation where the stakes are high. So educators must double check AI generated summaries and use AI as co-pilots and not autopilots. That's an important aspect. Moving on to the other aspect, that is the transparency and the black box problem. So many AI tools do not disclose how a score was computed or why a particular feedback was generated. So black box model, these hinder explainability, a critical factor in the student trust. So students deserve to know, why was I marked wrong and why did I receive this prompt? So, advocates like Sandra Watchter from Oxford Internet Institute, they stress the importance of algorithmic accountability and right to explanation. Moving on to the next point, that is the legal framework and talking about both global as well as Indian perspective. Now, GDPR is for Europe, which mandates explicit consent for data collection. It grants students the right to access to correct or erase their data, applies to any edtech tool operating in Europe. For USA, we have COPPA, which protects children under 13. It limits data collection and targeted advertising in educational applications. For India, we have Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023, which requires a clear purpose for data usage. And it imposes penalties for unauthorized sharing, encourages consent managers and parental access for minors. So all educator using tools like Google Classroom, ChatGPT or others, they must verify that the platform is compliant and that no student data is being sold or shared without explicit permission. And if you talk about ethical rubrics for educators, how can educators choose ethical AI tools? So you can consider this the 6-point rubric that is being displayed on the slide. First, privacy. Ask the question, does the tool collect any necessary data? And can it be used anonymously? Second is bias testing. Has it been tested across diverse student population? Third point, explainability. Does it allow students to understand how outputs were generated? Fourth, accessibility. Is it usable by disabled and multilingual learners? Fifth, transparency. Are the model limitations clearly communicated? And last one is the control. Can teachers override, modify, or contextualize outputs? And with great data comes great responsibility. And that should be at the fulcrum of every teacher who's using AI tools for either assessment or the feedback. Now, let's consider before we navigate the AI toolkit, let's consider an interactive scenario. Okay, now you assign an AI tool to help grade essay. Now, one of your students complains that the tool is harsh and constantly rates their work lower than the peers. So, what do you do? Do you investigate the rubric and audit the tool's output history? Do you allow for human moderation in final grades? or you can also create space for students to contest and reflect on feedback. So this highlights why AI augments but should not replace teacher judgment. Okay. Moving on to the practical walkthrough of the tools. Now, the first and the foremost is ChatGPT. Now, this tool can help you generate instant feedback on essays, suggest quiz questions, and even simulate oral examinations. Teacher can paste student answers and prompt ChatGPT to provide rubric-based comments. Another such example is GradeScope. Again, you will have to subscribe to the paid version. It's an excellent platform for auto grading objective and short answer questions. And it uses machine learning to recognize handwriting and allow teachers to adjust mark across uh, batches in real time. In fact, students, even for numerical or say quantitative assessments, students can solve the questions and then they can upload the screenshot or the pictures of their answers. Okay, and the GradeScope tool will analyze those answers. Okay, so that's the kind of training that GradeScope has. Another one is Turnitin's Feedback Studio. So besides plagiarism detection, it also offers AI-powered writing feedback, grammar check, also helps out with citation assistant, and it also supports peer review. Another example is Otter.ai. This tool transcribes student presentation and generates summary, which can be used for formative assessment. Then there's also Perusal and Feedback Fruits. Both are great for collaborative and peer-reviewed assignments. And AI, their inbuilt AI algorithm helps monitor engagement and they kind of flag shallow or missing contributions. So these tools do not require you to be a tech expert. Start small, use one in a lesson, and let the data guide your decision making. Just go with a hit and trial. Okay. Go for just one class in the one semester, in the first semester that you try to adapt these one of these tools. Okay. And let your experience count and make you decide whether you want to go for this one or the other one. Okay. Whatever works best for you. With AI, the goal isn't just efficiency, it's also the insight. Okay. Now, how can we design AI enabled assessment strategy? That's also important. Now, the transition to AI enhanced assessment is not merely about integrating technology or figuring out one particular application and go by it. It is also called for a reimagined institutional philosophy that aligns with Bloom's technology, transformative pedagogy, and NEP 2020 at the same time. So we need to be talking about institutional planning from vision to practice, align the AI integration with institutional learning outcomes, conduct a need assessment to identify what are the challenges in feedback cycles, in grading delays or personalization gaps, create a digital infrastructure roadmap, plan for teacher training first, and student orientation on AI tools. For example, a mid-sized university in Tamil Nadu introduced a phased rollout of AI feedback, AI writing evaluators. It began with training 20 faculty across 4 departments to begin with, and piloting AI feedback on assignments, and then collecting reflections before scaling across the entire college. Okay. Another is that Bloom aligned rubric building with AI. So, Bloom's cognitive domains should be mapped with the rubrics, which are very clear, multi-level, and mapped to the Bloom's cognitive domains. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Okay. So educators can upload their own rubrics into LMS integrated AI tools, which can then assign feedback based on categorized error types. So this allows rubric-driven automation without losing pedagogical rigor. Another important point in case is co-creation with students. So you kind of democratize the assessment. And that is what also NEP 2020 emphasizes, students' agency. So AI tools like ChatGPT, Grammarly, there's another one which is known as Schoolons, which can allow students to draft their own rubrics, evaluate sample response together in the class. Maybe you can also, these tools also help on reflecting on the feedback using AI generated reflection prompts. And this is the form of participatory design, which transforms assessment into dialogue. Okay. Uh, There was this undergraduate student in history class at the University of Delhi who wrote, I used AI to check my logical flow and it pointed out to two repetitive arguments I hadn't noticed. Okay. So another important point is data dashboards and visual feedback loops. Okay. Uh, you must have come across certain AI enhanced platforms like Canvas, Moodle, or Edmodo, which offer dashboards for both teachers and students. If some of you had attended any course on Coursera, so it also shows you the progress based on the number of videos that you have watched, based on the number of assessment or the quizzes that you have attempted. So those are kind of interactive dashboards. It also shows you if this is going to be your rate of completing the course, by when you can complete the course, and how have you been performing in comparison to your last course performance, in comparison to your peers who are attempting the same course, in comparison to your peers who belong to the same profile. So those are the kind of interactive dashboards which are, and the feedback loops which are possible now in platforms like Canvas, Moodle, and Edmodo. Okay, so teachers can see the trends in the performance, they can identify common misconception and track feedback loops, and students can see the heat maps of progress. Skill mastery badges are there. Areas which are needing attention can be highlighted by these platforms. So these dashboards, we can say, act like cognitive mirrors, providing formative insights into one's journey, not just the final verdicts. Uh, yeah. Moving on, the tools and the platforms and the demonstrations. Yeah. So to move from theory to practice, we must engage with tangible tools and platforms that enable AI enhanced feedback and assessment. And the session is about highlighting the core categories of tool, like demonstration ideas, best practices, integration of best practices, and practical usage strategies for both in class as well as asynchronous assessment. Now, if we talk about categorizing the AI tools, then there are automated essay evaluation and feedback like Grammarly's EDU, Turnitin's Feedback Studio. Then there's Write and Improve by Cambridge English, which kind of which is learner focused and iterative writing improvement. Then Scribo AI is there, which is an Australian tool with rubric linked feedback and growth tracking. Another category is generative tools for rubric-based feedback. Again, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. So these are custom prompt-based feedback, rubric-based narrative explanation. Quillons is there, Quillion, which is AI-generated questions which have MCQ short answers from text passages. For diagnostic and predictive analytical tools, we have ICRI, we have Newton, we have GreatScope. So these are visual analytics for concept mastery, AI-aided diagnostics. We also have Moodle quiz analytics, which is question-wise error, heat map, timing patterns. Then there are also adaptive assessment engines like Socrative is there, Edulastic is there, which progress item difficulty, real-time feedback dashboards. Then there's another one, Dreambox, which is specifically for maths and quant, which shows learning path adjustment based on real-time accuracy. Then there are multi-modal feedback tools like Kaizen is there, which is a Google Docs extension with audio and rubric linked comments. Then Scribe Sense is another one, which evaluates scanned handwritten test. Then in AI in Microsoft Copilot is also there for Teams and for documents, which is a kind of a multi-modal summarization and analysis. Then another categorization is demonstration script. So it's interactive grading walkthrough. So objective, it kind of shows participants how AI can assist in grading essays using Bloom's rubric. Okay. For example, like we practiced in the last session, in the hands-on session, that we can also ask ChatGPT. Okay. If this is my criteria, what kind of rubric I can develop. Okay. Similarly, it can be done on Claude.ai. Okay, with simple steps. You share a sample essay and Bloom's aligned rubric. You just give the prompt, act as an instructor, evaluate the following essay using the rubric, provide feedback with under each criterion. And it will display the generated feedback. You kind of reflect. You ask participants, what did the AI miss? What did it highlight well? Would you share this feedback directly? Okay, and you can also try different variations. Okay. Moving on about the challenges and the mitigation part. Yeah. So challenge, if you talk about if you talk about the challenges, then obviously over reliance on AI generated grades. So what is the mitigation strategy for the same? That you keep teachers override and review options should be there in whatever application, whatever AI tool you're using. Another challenge is tool unfamiliarity. So how do we begin about that? And at this point, I'm pretty sure 70% of us are not aware of these tools. We are unfamiliar with the tools that are available. So, what could be the mitigation strategy? That we begin with demo assignments and peer workshops, like the one we are having right now. Attend FTPs, attend training workshops, attend seminars. Yeah. Another challenge is access and infrastructural gaps. Yeah. So, try to use the applications which use low bandwidth or which are also offline compatible tools. For example, Write and Improve is one there. Another important challenge is privacy and data security. So choose tools with institutional agreements. Yeah, DPDP compliant tools should be there. Okay. So always ask yourself which AI tool resonates most with your subject area. How might you introduce AI to students without overwhelming them? And how can you maintain the pedagogical transparency while using AI? So by thoughtfully integrating these tools, educators can create feedback-rich, learner-centric environment, and technology should not replace the teacher. But with careful implementation, it can dramatically amplify our effectiveness as one. Okay. Moving on to assessment for equity using AI in marginalized context. Yeah. So the answer to the question, both the questions that have been raised, is that you keep an option of teacher override and review option should be there. You should not, as teachers, as evaluators, we must not completely rely upon the feedback or the grades, and specifically for the descriptive essay type questions. So you analyze and there should be teacher intervention and there should be an option of override. So you use tools which keep teacher override and review options in them. Yeah. Moving on. So assessment, when powered by AI, must not deepen existing divides. It must help bridge them. So we should explore how inclusive AI-enabled feedbacks can empower learners from tribal, rural, remote, and under-resourced contexts. And we should highlight innovative tools, mobile-first approaches, multilingual interfaces, real-life educational equity solutions from India and beyond. Okay, so the equity imperatives and AI-driven assessment. If we talk about India's educational ecosystem, it includes stark disparities when it comes to rural schools, which have zero to very low internet access. That we are majority of us are first generation learners, students with disabilities. Then there are multilingual classroom with non-dominant languages, tribal communities with culturally distinct pedagogies. Okay, so NEP has been emphasizing on equitable and inclusive education and recommends leveraging technology for bridging gaps. So AI in assessment must serve as an we can say kind of an equalizer, not a divider. So multilingual AI interfaces. An example would be Google's Project Vani. It collects and digitizes Indian languages. Microsoft, it has its reading progress, which enables pronunciation feedback in over 40 languages. Then Hashini is Government of India's initiative, which aim to enable inclusive open source AI-driven voice translation tools. Okay, and then AI chatbots can be trained on local dialects, and it can explain MCQ's error in the student's language, which can be Santhali or Bhojpuri. Okay, then offline and low connectivity assessment model should be there. For example, XStep Foundation's Jenny app is there. Diksha platform is there, which offer QR code linked content available offline also. So teacher strategy, teachers should download AI generated rubric and store voice feedback via there's another app, Kaizen Offline, which can be used to store your voice feedback. Okay. And peer feedback can be scaffolded using print-based AI-generated prompts translated to the local languages. Okay, mobile first, SMS-based feedback tools are also there, like Project Udan by IIT Bombay. Uh, Avanti Fellows are there. Then text-based chatbot tools, for example, Rasa. There's another one, Dialog Flow, which can be tailored to give SMS-based progress updates to learners. Moving on. Yeah, this is what I've covered. Yeah. Moving on, the five principles for equitable AI in assessment. Yeah, somebody raised the question how we can integrate and be, unbiased about it. So we should also always focus on these five principles. Contextualization. Use tailor AI tools to cultural and linguistic context of the learner, which will be coming after at a later stage once we have acclimatized ourselves and acquainted ourselves and as well as our learners, our students to these tools. So another one is accessibility, design for disability, inclusion, and mobile first access. Okay, always prefer the apps which are also available on mobile phone. No, we have moved on to a stage where most of our learners, most of our students have access to mobile phones. Human AI partnership. Keep teacher judgment at the central point. Use AI to assist, not to replace. The next fourth principle is transparency. Explain to students how feedback is generated. Yeah, the process should be transparent to the students. Yeah, so even if the AI generated feedback is say critical, the students do not question themselves every now and then. And the last one is open source and local ownership. Prioritize community co-created tools like Diksha, Ek Step. Okay. So in conclusion, I will say equitable AI assessment is not just about deploying the latest tech. It's about listening. It's about adapting. It's about co-creating solutions that reach every learner, whether in a tribal village or a government school or a low bandwidth mobile service. AI can amplify teacher impact if grounded in empathy and equity. So let us all continue to ask whose voice is heard in AI generated feedback, whose needs are being met. But we are standing at a threshold of a new possibility. And with responsibility deployment, AI can help close, not widen the gap. Now imagine multilingual feedback tools that respond to a student in Hindi, a student in Tamil, or Gondi or Santali. So imagine mobile first assessment that work offline and sync when there's a signal. Imagine AI tutors that adjust to a child's pace, not just their grade level. So these are not hypothetical situations. These are real pilot projects which are already emerging across India. Again, to reiterate, I would say there are platforms like Diksha platform, Ek Steps platform, and there are several NGO-led AI initiatives which have shown that when equity is part of the design, it has to be part of the design, not an afterthought. AI becomes a bridge, not a barrier. Okay. So the future of student feedback is being reshaped by generative AI models like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and others that can analyze student inputs, generate meaningful and nuanced feedback, and even simulate one-on-one tutoring. So these tools mark a shift from automated scoring to dynamic to context-sensitive dialogue, which kind of paves the way for more formative, more personalized, and more student-oriented assessments. So generative AI tools are capable of summarizing student responses, uh, yeah, summarizing, providing targeted formative feedback, suggestive improvement strategies, and the core technologies that we've discussed are NLP, natural learning process, transformer-based language models like ChatGPT, Anthropic, and Google's Gemini, which are trained on large data sets. Then prompt engineering, we also practice in the last hands-on session. Okay. Uh, so yeah, uh, if you talk about Claude and ethical AI response, so they emphasize on constitutional AI, aiming for ethical, safe, and transparent output. And it is designed to avoid harmful feedback, encourage curiosity and critical thinking, and reflect ethical feedback design. Okay. For example, no, you might be grading emotionally sensitive topics like personal narrative in sociology. So Claude avoids triggering language and instead encourages respectful reflection. Similarly, Gemini, which is by Google, it is built to integrate with Google Classroom, Google Forms, and Google Docs. And there are YouTube and visual content feedback is also there. Yeah. So that brings me to the concluding thought that generative AI does not just score, it converses, it scaffolds, and it provokes reflection. It enables formative feedback at scale, but must be used wisely. And the teacher's role evolves from grader to feedback facilitator and ethical guardian. Somebody has asked in the chatbot the question how we can ensure that. So the entire the point uh, being of concern is that we have to be the ethical guardian. We have to be the facilitator of the feedback. And by curating prompts and moderating outputs and encouraging reflection, we ensure that generative AI serves learning rather than replacing human connections. And let us all embrace these tools, not for their novelty, but for their potential to democratize the feedback and support the diverse learning journeys of all our students. And the most powerful feedback is not a judgment, but a bridge to deeper understanding. So as we come to the end of this session, before I end the session, I'll just showcase one just simple AI tool. It's kind of an add-in on the Google Forms. Now we usually face this problem of manually typing the questions, and there could be sessions. There could be tests which involve say 50 question, 100 questions. So manually typing in Google Form. All of us must be using the Google Form. So let me just give you an example. I'll stop sharing and I'll share another screen. Just give me a moment. Okay, yeah, let me share. Okay, I hope you can see my Chrome window. I have opened my drive. I'll just create a new Google form. That's how we do assessment. Okay, so let's say I'm creating a blank quiz. Okay. Now there's a famous add-in which is form builder. Okay. You can access the form builder. It will be available. It is free of cost. Okay. Online form builder. You can download it. Okay. From Google Workplace. Not the above ones which are sponsored and advertised, but one that is available on Google Workplace. Since I already have it in place, I'll just showcase you. Okay. So you have the form builder add-in. You click on this. You click on start, and there will be another pop-up window that will emerge here. Okay. So the idle, okay, it will take some time. Yeah, now it's there. Okay. Okay. So what we can do, say, for example, I have questions, MCQ based questions, and I have their answers also. Okay. So the idea is that you create those question and answer in a specified format in the Google Sheet first, which I've already done. I will show you. It will take some time. Okay, I'll show you the answer sheet also. Yeah. Yes, time. I'll show you how I've created the, okay. So this is the format in which I have created. I've listed down all the questions and ChatGPT can come to your rescue. है ना आपको ऐसे लग रहा होगा कि ये ChatGPT में कैसे लिखेंगे आई मीन शीट पे भी तो मैनुअली टाइप करना पड़ेगा नो ChatGPT can simply give you an output of this Excel sheet using the prompt. Okay, so you have question numbers on in one A column, B column has question, then from column C to F, there are options, answer in G column and points in H column. Okay, now let's see how we can build up a form from this. Okay, I select this, I choose the tab, sheet number one. Okay, select a pattern, it's a quiz pattern. Yes, okay, I select the quiz pattern. Now I have to range includes headers. Yes, questions are at which column? We could see questions were in B column, right? So we select column B. Okay. There's no image, there's no description. Okay. Answer starts at which column? C column. We can see from C to F, there were option answers. So we select C to F. Okay. And correct answers are in which column? Column number G. Yes. You can see the correct options were in G, and H had points at which column? At H. Okay, that's what we do. Okay, and just we click on get. And you will see within just 3 to 4 minutes, our form would be done. Okay, you can preview also, or you can import now. Okay, our form is done. Okay, and now I can see all the 50 questions have been imported. And you can also check whether the right answer has been submitted and the answer key points have also been assigned. Okay, you can see the correct answers have also been marked. This would have manually taken me, there are how many questions? 40 questions are there. This would have manually taken me at least 45 to 60 minutes to prepare this Google form, this Google quiz. So there are such tools that are available. This is just a simple add-on that anyone can access for free. Okay. Similarly, we have, for example, we want to create certificates for numerous participants, and we want their details to be automatically filled and automatically sent also. Then we have Certify M add-in in Google Forms. So all these tools are available. Okay. So with this, I will end the session. Okay. And so with just a simple, you know, lines that AI in education is not just a technological shift, it's a philosophical and pedagogical turning point. We have seen how AI can grade faster, give better feedback, and support diverse learners. But more than anything, it gives us a chance to bring assessment closer to learning and closer to learner. So with that, I will uh, pause the session now. Meanwhile, I'll ask Dr. Dixit to take over and please take up the queries of the session with respect to building an MCQ based test on Google Form. So maybe you all can practice this from your end. And if there are any problem, Dr. Dixit will help you out.
Sure, sure, sure.
I have a small question if you have 2 minutes, Dr. Ashutosh.
Yes, definitely, Dr. Tushar. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Same here. So, like the tool that you just showed us, Form Builder for Google Forms, are you aware of any tool for Microsoft Forms as well?
No, sir. We usually have Google Suite at our organization, but I'm
All right.
definitely sure that there must be a such tool for Microsoft Teams
We'll
also.
try to find some. Also, your presentation, the PDF that you used to give all the insights was really well formatted, well documented, well
So
designed.
yeah, as a
Did
matter
AI
of
help
fact,
you?
yes, as a matter of fact, in the last session that we had on hands-on session, the last
Uh-huh.
tool that I covered was Gamma app.
Uh-huh.
So I also demonstrated to the participants how we can create, how we can give input to this application, and it will do all the formatting work for us within 5 minutes. So I gave in all the content in the PDF format,
Right.
all the notes to the Gamma app, and it created the PowerPoint.
So I think this is a great learning for all our delegates that such an amazing document that we saw today and such an amazing lecture that we saw today was in fact indeed powered by AI.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Tushar, for having me. It was an amazing experience and such great engaging audience you have in your FTP. I must also
Thank you so
congratulate
much for
you.
joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, there is a question from Ravi Yadav.
Uh-huh.
Sir, his question is, how can AI-based assessment be balanced with human judgment to ensure holistic evaluation in management education?
All right. So AI-based assessment be balanced with human judgment. See, first of all, we really need to understand that AI is there to empower us, to complement our working, and not replace our working. So when we are using AI for assessment, it is only helping us out. It may be able to perform tasks such as evaluating MCQ questions or checking plagiarism or checking pattern analysis. But we definitely require human faculty to assess the critical thinking, to assess what level of creativity and analysis has been put forward by the student. Secondly, I think there is definitely a very strong need of contextual understanding. The human judgment needs to interpret the nuances of the student responses. I, as of now, do not know any tool which can properly evaluate a student giving a presentation face to face, or probably judge how good has a creativity been portrayed, or the concepts that were taught in the class been actually put in the paper. So I think case studies, presentations, these all require contextual understanding. So AI can help us up to a certain level, but the balance shall definitely be brought in by the human element. Lastly, we considering we're talking about assessment feedbacks today. So feedbacks, AI can help us provide quick analysis. It can help us understand what level of people have replied, 1 star or 5 star or whatsoever. But I think faculty must be prepared and must give personalized feedback, empathetic feedback based on their experience in teaching the student. So that would help in bringing out a very balanced human approach with the help of AI as well in our evaluation process.
Sir, there is one more question for our participant.
Uh-huh.
Uh, what skills should faculty members develop to effectively use AI tools for assessment and feedback in the classroom?
What what
What
faculty
skill? What skills
what
should
skills?
faculty
All right. So
members?
what skills should faculty members develop for using AI? There is a very old quote of Latin. There's a Latin quote, "Veni vidi vici," which means "I saw, I came, I conquered." So I think on the very similar lines, we first need to understand what are the digital tools that are out there to complement our functionality. So that is the level of digital literacy that we should have. We should be very comfortable using AI, how to use AI with data interpretation, how to use AI to complement our daily working. Once we are comfortable using those tools, the second step comes as critical evaluation. We should be sure of what is right and what is wrong. So, for example, right now, Google, when we make a Google search, after reading the results, we know which button to click, which result to click. It is not that we always click the very first search result. Similarly, we need to have a very clear sense of how to spot errors and apply our academic judgment in the AI outputs that are given by AI. And lastly, so first I spoke about having those digital literacy. Then I spoke about having that critical evaluation of the output. Then we need to understand how are we blending these AI skills in our teaching strategies to enhance our teaching learning process. So that is like pedagogical integration of AI in our teaching process. So I think these steps would really help us in the upcoming future.
Well explained, sir. I thought our participants have cleared their doubts.
Yes, sir. So do we have any other question?
Yes, sir.
Ashish sir has also joined us, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
have a
great.
question to ask.
Uh-huh.
Hi
The
again.
question is, hi sir. The question is, what role can AI play in providing real-time feedback to the students during case studies, simulations, or presentations?
See, real-time feedback is. I mean, I'm sure the students are experiencing this right now. AI can highlight, certain missed points, can suggest an alternative framework if, a particular student is not satisfied with the kind of result the AI has generated, or it can, deliver a prompt probing questions. So, for example, if the particular student is trying to develop a coding and the there is a bug on the code, the student can go back to AI asking why the bug has been generated, why it can also ask the AI to correct a certain bug. Student can also get a real-time feedback there that why has there been an error. AI will answer, that aspect also. Uh, in on the simulation aspect, AI can adjust scenarios. For example, if you are doing a business case study, and the case study is how Sony was developed in America. Okay, while you are going through, you can also tweak the question through AI that how Walkman was developed in America. So that's how real time it can be. Uh, there can be also videos which AI can develop these days, through which it can give you feedback, face to face. It can read its own feedback and again suggest corrective measures in order to be more realistic. So that's how maybe the students can articulate these.
Thank you, sir. My next question is, what are some best practices for integrating AI based assessment without creating over dependence on technology?
Best practices to, sorry, hello,
Yes, sir.
repeat your question again, please.
Yeah, sure, sir. What are some best practices for integrating AI based assessment without creating over dependence on technology?
Okay, so we need to keep AI more as a helper, more as an assistant, than leading your thought process, than being a judge of your thought process. Okay, the moment you are considering that as an assistant, what do you do with an assistant? You guide it. You tell the assistant to do a certain task in a certain manner. The faculty, the people has to be the final evaluator. AI will end up offering maybe a supportive data. Okay, so if there is a study going on that how malaria is spreading in India, you can be leading the conversation with the AI tool, asking question that what are the mosquitoes that are delivering these kind of viruses, how are we going to tackle it, what are the key medicines, who are the key companies, what are the key NGOs. All right, those, that is how you can guide it. That the AI tool will end up giving you the supportive data. Okay, we also, as we talked about in our presentation earlier, we need to be transparent enough. Okay, we need to inform that yes, this is with AI, this is through AI. That is how we can also avoid an over dependence upon AI. We need to be answerable. And as I said, as a warning at the last segment of my presentation, AI can definitely go wrong. If you would open, say, chat gpt, if you go to the bottommost part, it says chat gpt can make mistakes. It is bluntly telling you. Even perplexity AI, okay, can commit mistake which is claimed to be the advanced Google. All right, so we once you are transparent enough telling that yes, I used AI, you are also at the same time answerable. Once you are answerable, you need not only depend upon a certain tool. Okay, we can also use sometimes. For example, teachers conduct mock tests. While we are shifting and discussing about assessing the certain student or a curriculum through AI, we can also, in the meanwhile, here and there, we can also create a manual assessment framework so that the teachers are not so used to AI that they are handicapped if and when AI is not there. So, for example, may God forbid there is a war between US and India. All of these AIs, they are primarily US generated. Okay, including your Microsoft, including your Apples. What then? Okay, so we need to create that manual framework as well into the process of teaching, into the process of engagement with the students. So yeah, that's my bit. Also, you can these days on laptops and on mobile screens, you can check how much time have you spent on a certain app. If you're keeping a tab that you're not spending a lot of time on a certain application, you may be able to limit your dependence upon an AI tool.
Thank you so much, sir, for clearing my doubts so well.
Uh,
Give me
Hello,
1 minute.
sir. Yes, Ashutosh. Uh, Hello, Tushar sir.
Yeah.
There is one more question.
Yeah, sure. Bring
Yes,
it
go ahead,
on.
please. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Sir, the question is, what ethical concerns should educators keep in mind while using AI for evaluation and feedback?
Right. Uh, so as educators, as teachers, I think we have a very important, very pivotal role to play in evaluation and feedback, which requires us to be very impartial, which requires us to be absolutely unbiased, and we have to make sure that there is no partiality in any form. So from what we have learned from all these sessions, from our experience, of course, AI gives us output from the information that it is fetching from the internet or from the databases or for whatever info data is fed into it, servers. So we must make sure that AI systems do not reinforce those existing biases based on gender, based on language, based on background in such evaluation when we are using AI for this evaluation purposes. Secondly, we need to make sure that there is absolutely 100% transparency in our evaluation method, in our feedback method. So even though we are using AI, there should be absolute clarity that what procedure is being followed, what are the criteria being followed, what parameters are being considered for evaluation purposes, so that the student is not left in a state that he or she do not know how have I been evaluated and how have I got this score. Lastly, it's very important that most of the speakers spoke about data privacy, security. So when we are feeding all these answer papers in the AI chat engine, AI database for evaluation, are we protecting student data? Are we ensuring that the student submissions are not being misused or shared without their consent? And I think this really plays an important role, especially for PhD scholars and those who are evaluating case studies or those who are evaluating papers. That privacy and data security is well maintained for all our students. Does this answer?
Yes, sir. You such a valuable answer I get.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I would like to thank you, Dr. Ashutosh Yadav sir, Mr. Ashish Tripathi, and Dr. Tushar Arya sir for such an interactive session on assessment and feedback with AI and evaluating AI in management education. Your valuable thoughts and practical perspective have truly enriched our FDP, and we are grateful your time and expertise. Now, after two long sessions, we will have 10-minute break. After that, we will get back with our next impressive session. Thank you so much. Participant, Please ensure don't leave the session.